Bro, one of the most like feared thing that I fear are tornadoes. Like that's one of my biggest fears actually being in an event where like a tornado is like happening, bro. Especially when I see like ever since I saw Twister as a kid, bro, that's like my number one fear has been tornadoes. So today we're gonna be looking at the scariest tornado in history in Greensburg. Let's check it out.
May 4th, 2007. Sirens began to scream across a small town in rural Kansas as Kelsey Schroeth is
Of
at
course,
home
it's
taking
Kansas.
care of her baby. With nowhere else to go, Kelsey runs to an interior
How bad
closet
are
as her
tornadoes
ears
over there
begin
in
to pop
Kansas?
and a thunderous roar grows louder and
I know
louder.
they
A
get quite
massive
bad
tornado,
based on
wider
Wizard
than the
Files.
town itself, is just moments away.
Damn.
It's peak tornado season in the Great Plains, and forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center are monitoring the
Bro, imagine having to deal with like tornado season, bro. Like you have like a $1 million home, bro, and then it's all destroyed in an instant by a tornado, bro. That's just terrible.
atmosphere, looking for the key ingredients needed for severe weather when something alarming catches their attention. A massive trough of low pressure is moving across the western United States, bringing with it a belt of fast-moving, cooler air aloft and pulling in massive amounts of warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. At the same time, the fast southwesterly winds of the trough begin to drag along a layer of warm, dry air emanating out of the desert southwest called the elevated mixed layer, or EML, separating the warm, moist air from the cool, dry air aloft, stopping storms from firing too early in the day and creating an extremely unstable atmosphere. The combination of large amounts of both atmospheric instability and strong wind shear from the approaching trough are creating ideal conditions for the formation of rotating thunderstorms called supercells. Recognizing that all the ingredients for severe thunderstorms are now in place, the Storm Prediction Center issues a moderate risk for severe weather, including a 15% outlook for strong tornadoes. Just before 5 p.m., the capping inversion generated by the elevated mix layer breaks, and a lone supercell thunderstorm initiates off the dry line along the Texas-Oklahoma border. Within just an hour, this powerful storm goes tornado warned and produces a tornado just outside the small town of Arnett, Oklahoma. Remaining over rural areas, this small but powerful tornado carves a 4-mile path of destruction, destroying numerous trees and lightly damaging a couple farmsteads before dissipating just outside of town.
Bro, like you cannot tell me you look at this and don't think this is scary, bro. This is so scary. The most scariest thing, bro. Like imagine you're just walking out, bro, and you see this in front of you, bro. It's GG's.
For several hours, storms would struggle to develop in the highly capped atmosphere, slowly dying out as they drifted across the open fields. It appeared the residents of the Central Plains had just dodged a bullet, avoiding a significant outbreak of intense tornadoes through populated areas. However, things were about to take a dramatic turn. Before we get into the rest of the action, I'd like to take a quick moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Vessi. Chasing shoe, no matter what the
Come on, bro.
paired with
Oh my god.
your fall style.
I'm gonna be honest, those shoes aren't it. Actually, this white one kind of looks tough.
As the sun begins to set on May 4th, a powerful stream of fast-moving winds called the low-level jet begins to rush north, greatly increasing both directional wind shear and storm relative inflow, crucial ingredients in the formation of powerful tornadoes. If a storm could take advantage of such a volatile environment, tornadoes of both unimaginable size and power could develop. The residents of the Central Plains have no idea they are about to be at the center of a major disaster. At 6:30 p.m., a new cluster of storms explodes over northwest Oklahoma, slowly merging together and gaining strength as they organize into a single, powerful supercell thunderstorm, getting stronger and stronger with every minute that passes. The first tornado began in a field just to the northwest.
How
of
far do
Ashland,
tornadoes even travel though? Like, do they travel like 4 to 5 miles? Like
Kansas,
how many miles do they
remaining
actually
over
travel?
rural areas and causing only weak damage to trees and rural structures before spawning 3 other weak tornadoes, all
That-
tracking through rural areas as they drift towards the northeast. Yet as these tornadoes begin to lift, the parent supercell begins to rapidly intensify, carving out a new powerful rotating updraft called a mesocyclone, and at 9 p.m., produces one of the most infamous tornadoes in American history. Beginning just to the south of County Line Road, the newly formed tornado rapidly expands as it moves towards
Bro,
the
this is a
northeast,
new one?
bringing down patches of trees and damaging an oil tank, scattering the highly flammable oil all over the
Bro,
nearby
look how
areas.
wide it is.
It's at this moment that multiple storm chasers driving along Highway 183 begin to record the tornado for the first time as it passes through the rural areas northwest of the highway. One of these chasers, Mike Scantlin, takes a photo.
I'm not gonna lie, they have to be paying me at least 6 figures for me to for them to want me to storm chase for like a job, bro. They have to pay me at least 6 figures, bro.
Revealing the monster tornado looming in the distance. As the chasers continue to film, however, something remarkable begins to happen. Multiple smaller funnels begin to descend to the ground around the parent circulation in a hellish dance as they orbit around the monster tornado. These rare, smaller vortices are called satellites, something only seen in the most violent tornadoes on Earth.
What?
Continuing to track to the northeast,
Mini
the
tornadoes, bro?
rapidly widening tornado begins to encounter many rural structures.
Bro, look how
damaging or
wide that
completely
tornado is.
destroying anything unlucky enough to be caught in its path. Homes,
Complete
barns,
destruction.
trees, and power lines alike all disintegrate in
Destroyed
the
a
face
whole
of the
brick
violent
home.
winds as the tornado swells to an unbelievable
Bro, how much do insurance be even covering, bro? Like how much like you obviously if you live in a state like this, you have to have like housing insurance, right? How much do they pay for insurance, bro? Or how much do insurance even cover after like the like a supernatural disaster like this?
0.7 miles wide, one of the largest
I'm not gonna lie, it seems
tornadoes
like a
in recorded history.
huge hassle financially speaking.
Following just 5 miles south of the tornado, the line of storm chasers driving along Highway 183 cannot believe what they are seeing. The chasers watch in horror as a massive wedge fills the horizon, illuminated by flashes of lightning. A monster tornado, masked in darkness, is heading directly for the small town of Greensburg, Kansas. With it now clear a large and violent tornado will pass dangerously close to town, the National Weather Service realizes the direness of the situation and at 9:41 p.m. issues an extremely rare tornado emergency. For a brief moment, it appears that the tornado may narrowly miss Greensburg to the east. However, it's at this moment that something tragic occurs. As the tornado moves slowly to the northeast, the parent supercell begins to cycle, cutting the tornado off from the storm's more moist inflow in a process called an occlusion, pushing the tornado into a more northerly course straight towards town. The residents of Greensburg
Bro,
have just
Greensburg
minutes to prepare.
is cooked.
At the same time, the occlusion process begins to take over. The
It's
tornado begins
wraps,
to shrink
bro.
in size, but dramatically increases in intensity, obliterating several rural homes and scouring the ground, leaving a visible scar in the surface as it crawls to the north. 1 mile to the northeast, Dennis McKinney, deeply concerned about his neighbors Kelsey Schroth and her baby Jaden, runs to the back porch of his home and begins to shout out for them to get into his basement. Kelsey tries to get out of her home, but with the winds of the approaching tornado only growing stronger, she is unable to open the door and get outside and is forced to ride out the tornado in her home without a basement.
Aww.
Outside, Dennis waits until the last possible second as debris begins to fill the air and the deafening roar of the tornado drowns out all other sound before running back into his basement. The fate of Kelsey and the baby outside of his control. Both homes, along with a dozen others, are completely destroyed, with many of the foundations completely swept clean of debris. By some miracle, however,
Bro, the winds were that strong that she couldn't even open the door, bro. That is damn. And I think I think when it gets windy here is strong. Damn.
Kelsey and her baby are found alive and unharmed in the shattered remains of their home. Continuing to deeply scour the ground, the tornado begins to enter the main part of Greensburg, flattening dozens of homes and a church as it closes in on the homes of Evelyn Kelly and Larry Hoskins. Despite having over 20 minutes of warning, both residents fail to take proper shelter in time.
Bro, that is like imagine putting yourself in this type of situation where like you're in a town, right? And you hear on the news that a big tornado about like 2 miles or like I think it was 1.7 miles wide is heading towards your like neighborhood, bro, or your town, bro. I couldn't imagine, bro. I generally could not imagine like how the amount of fear I would feel, bro. Cause I'd be having nightmares of tornadoes. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be having nightmares of these types of tornadoes, bro. So in my nightmares, I fear so much fear. So imagine that in real life, bro. It's like multiply that by 100, bro. It's like I'll die of fear, bro.
And are killed as their homes disintegrate around them. Seemingly at peace with her life, Evelyn stated before the tornado struck, "If God wants to take me, he will."
Hmm.
Destroying more and more power lines, the town is plunged into darkness as the tornado tears everything in its path to shreds. Panicked residents scramble underground or to whatever shelter they can find in the few seconds they have left. Homes, trees, buildings, churches, even an entire elementary school are completely obliterated as the tornado's core closes in on the center of town. Just ahead along West Barfield Avenue, Beverly Voles, along with her father and husband, are sheltering in their home as the tornado strikes. Gathered together to celebrate Beverly's recent victory over her breast cancer, the three dive into the home's hallway as the structure begins to come apart around them when a piece of sheet metal flies through the hallway, striking both Beverly and her father. The two are fatally injured, sadly killing both of them on a day meant to celebrate such a happy moment in their lives. Becoming more and more loaded with debris, the tornado rips into another row of homes, obliterating dozens of structures and sweeping several of them completely off their foundations before crashing into the Greensburg High School. Numerous vehicles fly through the air, becoming unrecognizable balls of metal as the remorseless winds batter the school. Unable to withstand the violent
Bro,
power of the tornado, the entire school is ripped to pieces, leaving little remaining just weeks before graduation was supposed to take place.
just weeks,
Just across the block
bro.
along
You're weeks
South
before graduating, bro. It was just like a really big accomplishment, and then this happens, bro. Bro, and the pictures of them cars, bro. Them cars were wrecked.
Main Street, Megan Gardner, along with the rest of her family, are sheltering in their basement as the tornado begins to pass overhead. An eerie silence is suddenly broken as their ears begin to pop from the rapidly dropping pressure, while the unmistakable roar of the tornado becomes louder and louder. With everyone trapped in the basement, the entire house above them is violently ripped to pieces, leaving nothing behind but the debris-filled basement they were sheltering in, saving their lives. Their neighbors, however, would not be so fortunate. Directly south of the family's home, Harold Schmidt and his wife are sheltering in their basement when the tornado strikes. Despite doing everything right and taking proper shelter in their basement, a truck, picked up by the ferocious winds of the tornado,
Bro, what? A whole truck? Bro, this is some things you would like see in like a movie, but like this is the type of stuff you actually see in like a movie, like a natural disaster movie. Damn, you're telling me a whole truck crushed them?
suddenly lands directly onto the couple's home. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time, Harold is crushed as the truck crashes through the home into the basement below. Fatally injured, Harold would use his final moments to try to comfort his wife before sadly passing away from his injuries. Swallowing all of Greensburg within its grip, the incredible violence of the tornado's core crashes into the heart of town, inflicting destruction so widespread it seems inconceivable. Hundreds of trees are completely debarked and denuded, as every single building from residential homes to large commercial structures is completely destroyed by the remorseless winds, granulating the remains into tiny fragments. Entire city blocks of homes and buildings disintegrate as their debris fills the air, turning anything above ground into a sandpapered husk of what it had once been. Just across West Iowa Avenue, the town's water tower, along with the Big Well Museum, the site of the largest hand-dug well in the world, are completely destroyed, scattering the fragments long distances downstream and leaving a disfigured skeleton of metal where the water tower had once stood. 5 more people would tragically lose their lives in this area who weren't able to reach proper shelter in time. One of these residents, Cloud Hopkins, was caught running to his vehicle in an attempt to escape the tornado when he was picked up and thrown over 100 yards.
Bro, I know that's one thing you should not be doing, especially when the tornado's coming towards you, bro. You should not go near a vehicle, bro. Because if you're in a car or whatever, no matter what car you're in, bro, you're gonna go flying. But damn, that's I'm not gonna lie. That is did he get decapitated or is this how he animated it?
Away, sadly killing him on impact. Cloud was 79 years old at the time and was
RP.
described as a hardworking man who loved to hunt and fish, living in Greensburg all his life. Crossing U.S. Route 4.
Bro, like is it true that like when you is the eye of the storm true though? Because I remember watching a tornado movie and then apparently when you go in the eye of the storm, it's like of inside of all the chaos of the tornado, inside the eye of the storm, it's not that chaotic. It's like kind of peace. But I think that's just the movie, though. I don't think that's true, though.
400, the tornado reaches the northern edge of Greensburg and continues to cause catastrophic damage to anything unlucky enough to be in its path. An entire farm equipment dealership, a hospital, hundreds of homes, and a church are completely destroyed and granulated into pieces, scattering their fragments hundreds of yards downstream as the tornado closes in on a group of mobile homes. Sheltering inside one of these mobile homes, David Lyon is sucked up into the tornado and tragically killed, his body landing over 100 yards away into a nearby lake before the tornado finally exits town, leaving behind a hellish landscape of destruction and claiming the lives of 12 people. The tornado finishes its occlusion process and finally dissipates in a field just to the northwest of town after being on the ground for over an hour. In less than 4 minutes,
Wait, the tornado
95%
lasted an hour? This all happened in the span of an hour?
of Greensburg had been damaged or destroyed. The storm, however,
Bro, that tornado was legit, like, about, like, close to the size of the whole town.
far from finished. Immediately following the Greensburg tornado, the parent supercell, supercharged by the powerful, low-level jet, continues to cycle, putting down another monster tornado at
Another
10:03
one?
p.m. just to the northeast of Greensburg. Traveling through the mostly rural terrain, this violent tornado rapidly grows in both size and intensity, growing even larger than the tornado that struck Greensburg as it destroys several rural farmsteads before reaching its maximum width
Yo,
of
Kansas
2.25
cannot.
miles.
2.5. Bro, the other one was like 1.7. This was 2.25 miles wide. Yo, Kansas cannot take a break.
Widely speculated as being even stronger than the tornado that preceded it. The monster Truesdale tornado would go down as the second widest tornado in recorded history at the time. Continuing to rage through the night, the parent supercell goes on to produce an additional 9 tornadoes over the next several hours, including 2 more violent, mile-wide wedges near the towns of Hopewell and Maxville, claiming the lives of 2 more people before finally dissipating over 8 hours after formation. Back in Greensburg, however, the scene was nothing short of apocalyptic. 95% of the town was damaged or destroyed, and 12 people lost their lives, leaving behind an unrecognizable landscape that was once their town. In the days following the tornado, surveyors and meteorologists from the National Weather Service would survey the damage and assign the tornado a rating of EF5, the first in history since the implementation of the enhanced Fujita scale earlier that year. In the years since the tornado, Greensburg has made substantial efforts in rebuilding itself, with many new, energy-efficient, and tornado-resistant structures going up across town to replace
It
what
looks
was
nice.
lost. However, despite the noble efforts of
Damn,
the
it
town's
actually looks.
residents to
Yo, it actually looks pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like after the whole wreckage and cleaning up, bro, it looks pretty nice over here. But it seems like there's less like buildings or like less houses.
rebuild, the empty lots and debarked trees will continue to serve as a dark reminder of the tragic past of this small town in rural Kansas.
Damn. EF5 tornado in 12 years. No, see this I could never do. Yeah, nah, bro. Like, yeah, like I'm not gonna lie to you. This just made me more scared of tornadoes. Anyways, let me know what y'all want me to react to, what you want me to look at next, and what y'all thought of the video. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.